Ben, Sports Illustrated, they have put this thing out where they have identified one player from every position on the field from this past draft that they believe can make that they're a sleeper that no one sees coming that can make a sizable impact on their new organization. And at cornerback, they have chosen Vikings fifth rounder Charles Demmings. I believe he goes by Chuck or Chuck D is how what we're calling him. But should should we be buying this? Are you in on Charles Demmings?
1000%. I think that he's going to be a dude for sure. He's athletic. He has like all of these sort of like oozy, intangible factors of like being a great teammate and a hard worker. So I'm in on Chuck D. It seems like the perfect fit. I know that there's a lot of other cornerbacks that played in similar systems in college, but we're what the Vikings were looking for is, he's a big body athletic guy first and foremost.
Mhm.
He's not like big and bulky. He's like athletic looking. He was like the number one relative athletic score at the combine. He's like 10th overall in the last like 2000 something something cornerbacks to ever go through the combine. Like he is the top
Wow.
1% of all the cornerbacks and defensive backs that have ever gone through the combine. He has a score that high. So we know that he's athletic. But when it comes to scheme, he played in a quarter system when he first got to Stephen F. Austin. And then the last 2 years, he played in a cover three system, which is very similar to the cover three that we play. And then on top of that is their defensive coordinator was very aggressive. He really excelled at being on the line of scrimmage, in front of the wide receiver, press man coverage, and they were blitzing a ton. Like they were bringing lots of pressure. I can't tell you, it's not exactly like B Flow's system, but the philosophy of it, of just being pressure heavy and being aggressive and rolling your corners up and asking your corners to jam those guys and stay with them through the whole series. That's what he did time and time again. And so he's at least at that level, he's proven to be the dude, and he's got all the athletic, skills that you're looking for. So do I think that he's going to be a top guy in year one? No. I mean, every guy, even if you're at the FBS level, a lot of guys take some time to transition. So,
Mhm.
especially for him, I think it'd be shocking, like very shocking, if he could leapfrog any one of the guys that we have there now and get a lot of playing time at outside corner. I think he'll get some. I think he'll get rotated in at some point in time in the season. But I think we're really looking forward to him probably taking over that spot next year because Isaiah Rodgers will be a free agent next year. He's playing his last year on the contract with the Vikings. He's a free agent. And then possibly Chuck D is right there to replace him in 2027.
I was trying to think of the Vikings need it. The Vikings need if you were to ask me what's the one thing that I everybody would say quarterback. What I would say is we need a home run from late in the draft. Like it's been a desert. If you think of guys, if you go past the first 3 rounds, if you leave 3 rounds and you go, when was the last time this team I'm not saying a Hall of Famer or an All Pro, but struck gold with a guy that's gonna be there for what I mean, it's Diggs, and before
Mm-hmm.
him, it's Everson Griffin. Um, Thielen was undrafted, so I think that counts, but Danielle Hunter was the 88th pick, so he was 3rd round, top 100 type stuff, but, one of these guys making somebody coming out of nowhere and really breaking in and being that important to a team can just change the entire trajectory of an organization. I know that sounds silly, but it can, and we just haven't had that. We haven't had it in a long time, and we're desperate for it. So when I read that, I went, "Okay, you hear him talk about 32-inch long arms, likes to press, does all these things. You're desperate to have it happen. And I think maybe that's why I've like tied myself so hard to this draft is you feel like I know a lot of people feel that way about the Thomas kid and you do it with every draft, but you said one thing. You said his relative athletic score, top percent of whatever. That's what I keep coming back to, why I'm actually buying hype on a draft for the first time in forever. All these guys are freak athletes. Maybe they don't work out, but you just took a gamble on a bunch of freak athletes. And for the love of God, can some of them come through? I need some of them to come through.
No, I know. Again, everybody looks at what the Seahawks have done. You always look at the team that just won the Super Bowl, and they had a number of young players be big factors down the
Yeah.
stretch and be starters on offense and defense. And so I think that's what you're looking for, whether it's a first round draft pick. You want every guy to provide, value to your team. So I'm hoping that he can be the guy. Again, I would be a little bit more patient with him, look at him more in year two. But the other thing that I think is really, it could be a huge contributor to his success is something that his head coach at Stephen F was talking about. He said one of the teams that came in to scout him said that one particular team has a metric, if you want to call it, or a category, and it's called what it takes factor. Never really, it's kind of wordy, never really, I think you
Yeah.
could be like more concise with that. So basically, they looked at how unselfish the player is, how
Mm.
much they play through injury, how strong their personality traits are, sort of off the field, academics, grades. He mentioned loyalty, and I think loyalty is a huge thing considering Chuck's situation because he's one of the top players in all FCS, and he was getting looks at lots of NIL money to jump up to FBS to the big boys in this last year, and he said no. He turned it down.
No.
He's like, "Look, we have unfinished business here with my teammates here at Stephen F." He's like, "I think I can make a bigger impact that's beyond the dollars. I think I can make an impact through generations of players that go through FCS, that they see a player like me that can succeed at this level, get a chance to go to the combine, blow it up at the combine, and blow it up at Senior Bowl, where he was excellent at the Senior Bowl, going against the best of the best, and then actually be a real player in the NFL." He looked at it from just, I want to leave a legacy. I'll make my dollars if I'm driven by legacy, I'm going to make my dollars. And I think that mentality is the reason why that particular team put him off the charts and number one in the what it takes factor. Um, so all of these ingredients, you look at the relative athletic score, the what it takes factor, his actual size and height and all that stuff, and his weight. You factor that into the scheme that he played at Stephen F. That meshes really well with B Flow. Seems like a hell of a fit and a hell of a player.
Uh, I saw this quote from him, and I should have written it down so I could read it back to you. This is terrible media on my part, but it was something like, "If my last breath is on the field, if my last rep is the last thing I ever do, if I put the like it was like this really fatalistic, like dramatic thing, and like in the normal world, it's the cringiest thing I've ever heard in my life, but in football, you're like, yes. And when you add that on top, because it could come off performative, but I think given the what it takes factor and all this stuff, that shines a different light onto it. And I think that is what you need to be Stefan Diggs, to be Adam Thielen, to be Everson Griffin, to be what we hope Jalen Redmond is. You know, I think if you don't have the other pieces that automatically put you in those first 32 picks or even the top 100, you're going to need to have some Johnny Randall to you, and that sounds like some stuff Johnny Randall would say. So, yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Am I ending this by comparing him to Johnny Randall, which is a terrible idea?
Please do. Please do.
But I just it would be like I don't think people realize how close the NFL is the only true salary cap sport and how close a team can be to turning things around. And it can be as simple as Caleb Banks being a superstar. It can be as simple as Golday, Big Citrus, and Demmings all being relevant starters for the team. Like it could be as simple as Demmings being a superstar in 3 years. Like that's it can happen and it can
Yeah.
happen quick. And so, yeah, I saw this and I bought in way too hard.
Let me throw another name at you just to keep you excited.
Great.
Damon Claiborne. I'm
Stop
just saying
it.
in this.
We've already
I'm just
done
saying.
it. I don't wanna do it again.
See,
We're both in on Damon Claiborne. We don't
I
need to
know, but
do
you named a whole bunch of other guys that we're really excited for this
I
draft, and I'm
left
like,
him out on purpose because I don't wanna be criticized when it doesn't pan out. I've already put too much hype into the Claiborne kid. I don't wanna be getting DMs during the season like, "Oh, a lot of snaps he's got so far." So I've just I'm in on him. I've made my bed. You don't need to keep making it.
so pump the brakes for now on Damon Claiborne's hype, but yet we're gonna compare Demmings to John Randall.
I don't think that I'm not even sure that this show is any good.